Hello, folks. How are you doing? Well, I need to get this thing off. Thank you for joining me, you guys. And I need to get Miss J Lightworker in here. So, Kathleen, are you here? And hello, Indigo Chrysalis. All right. Let me just balance this out on the other end here. Okay. I just want to make sure I've got all my things going. So hold on just a minute as I make sure I get every tab open that I need to have open. Okay. Go to... And I hope you're all doing well. I hope you're having a really great Sunday. I'm a little scratchy. I have a lot of sinus today. Really annoying. Okay. So we will have Indigo Chrysalis on Thursday. Okay. So I just wanted to let you know that. And let's see. I'm just checking my schedule. I know I had somebody on for this Sunday. All right. It's also my daughter's 27th birthday. Can you believe that? 27. I have a kid that's 27. I can't believe it. Yes. Thank you, Kathleen. Kathleen, let's see. How can I... All right. I'll just have to go through the email process. Open another window. All right. Hang on. Compose. It should be in there. Yes. Link. So we're going to have Kathleen on, and she is going to be sharing about her NDE. I think it's fascinating. I've had some similar kinds of things, not quite the way you might expect, but we'll get to that later. It's really for her to share with you her story, which I think is going to be simply fascinating. And I hope you do too. So I'm just going to set this up and we'll get on with it. So I've sent you the link, Kathleen. And once again, I have like a million tabs open. Okay, so let me just, there we go. Here we are. So forgive the background noise. We have a birthday party going on for my oldest, not my oldest, my youngest, who's 27. I can't believe she's 27. So hello, Doreen. Hello, P44. Hello, Sharon Sipe. We'll just wait here a moment while she joins us. There it is. I have to use a different set of, here she is. Here's Kathleen. So I'm going to add Kathleen.
Hi. Let me fix my camera so I'm not.
This is what
not looking.
I thought. I had these all nice and neat and coiled up, and I still, despite it, have it everywhere. So let me just get these sorted. Hopefully it won't play funny games with me.
Hopefully.
So that I can hear you. Because I hear better with these inner ear things.
Yeah, I do too.
Oh, there we go. Speakers usually aren't great on laptops. Thank you. It's Mickey's birthday. She's Michaela, and she's 27. And she says hi. You wanna come around to the camera real fast? Don't bump all my crap. But it would be great.
Hi.
Cool.
More this way.
Joy.
Yeah. There. See, there's your face.
You're beautiful.
Oh, she says you're beautiful.
Oh, thank you. You too.
That's Kathleen. So anyway, Mickey's birthday today, 27. She's going to have some friends around, but we should be able to carry on.
Yeah, they're not
Cool.
going to interrupt. I'll be respectful.
Yeah, they won't be
Back.
interrupting.
Philip wants a reading.
Yeah, Philip's going to have to, Philip's got to set up an appointment like
Yeah.
everyone else.
Yeah.
That's great. Okay. They say happy birthday, Doreen Arnold, Bright Smiles, and Kaya Noel, happy 27th, Ron Unconditional Love, JR, yes.
You got lots of love.
She's just waiting on her friends. So I want to thank you guys for your well wishes for my youngest. It's always, even though I think I'm fairly set up, I'm just not very organized.
Me neither. Even though I do all kinds of things in preparation. I invariably leave my notebook or something in the other room.
Even when I set it directly aside, there'll be something else, and I just won't see it. I don't know. I'm kind of, oh man, my coffee's gone cold. That sucks. All right, it'll have to heat up. Let me heat that thing up. So I just want to thank you guys. It's Kathleen J. Lightworker. I can't talk. Sorry, from Oklahoma. Sorry. Stop. Anyway, I've seen the musical. I've seen the musical.
I have too. And actually, I know that this will probably put me into a real niche category, but I actually love musicals.
I like some of them too, like Seven Brides for Seven Brothers. That was
kind of fun. That was one of my favorite movies, even when I was a kid.
Yeah.
I would sit, when they come on in the middle of the night, I would sneak up if I knew that was showing, and turn the TV down real low. And even I would put the blanket over the TV and me. So
neat. Yeah, theater. That was our way, and I'm sure I know this technique. Those of us prior to computer age coming in the 90s, this is what we did. We made our own home theater.
Yes.
That's brilliant. I love that. Oh my God. I just had to take my eyes are watering, my nose is watering. So it's a good thing we're not doing too much of the cards, because I had to take my antihistamine, which can make me a little good spacey, but spacey.
Yeah.
As if I needed to be any more.
Well, and what's so stupid is sometimes I will take it and I'm just really laid back, and sometimes I am wired for sound, and I'm like, it's the same medicine. Why do I have two different reactions? Okay.
Ditto. In fact, because I've got two different kinds of medicines, because one of them I know, like the one that's like Benadryl, really knocks my socks off. I really end up eventually having to close the eyes and become non-functional. This one makes me just a little bit, but nothing like the other. And it really helps to control my symptoms. So it's like, I've got to use it. And we've all been suffering. Yeah. That's why I'm like, I had to put extra puffy creams and just all kinds of masks, heated stuff on my eyes. Cause I was like, I feel like
I got one of those. Yeah. One of those little, I didn't pay lots of money for it, but those little jade rollers.
But and that's really good for your skin.
It's really good. And put it in an ice box and then touching, setting it on my eyes and just
feels so good.
Oh, it does.
I've got I have those, and I've got also, because I wanted to see if there would be a difference, I have these ones that look like glass tubes with the like a bell end, and they have like a fluid in it, and you put them in your refrigerator, and then you just, they're like it's just like a ball on the end, but it's glass, and it has this, and you just apply, because your skin you have to be so careful.
Thin. Yeah, that's what
you realize it once you age, of course, once you get to be our age, and older. It's like, oh shoot.
Yeah, yeah. I should have been doing this 30 years ago. That
Yeah, I
kind of
wish.
thing. Oops.
Yeah, now I'm
30
like,
years too late.
yeah. Well, luckily I did some, but not nearly enough for the.
Me too. Me too.
So everyone is just greeting each other. That's so nice. The Outsiders was filmed in Tulsa, was it? Indigo?
Hmm.
Just be on notice, you'll probably hear my stomach growl at some point as well. I'm a, you know, your girl. I'm the usual mess here. I don't even need to be alcohol to be goofy. Proof, Lord. So,
Well, how do you want to?
yes, I'm just wanting to segue into that. This is a link to Kathleen's channel. Please subscribe, and from time to time, make sure that if you haven't seen any of our channels coming up in your, make sure you're still subscribed, please.
Yeah,
It's a thing.
because I was unscribed from Linda G and the Tarot's Apprentice, and it was just because
Holy
I
cow!
thought
Those are
I
your
haven't heard.
popular ones.
Yeah,
Yeah.
uh, yeah, and so I was like, I got to thinking I haven't seen anything from either one of them in about a week, and they're pretty
Yes.
regular. Yeah.
Yeah, and I found similar things. It's like, oh, I know I didn't do that.
Yeah.
Because I don't. You have to really offend me for me to unsubscribe.
Yeah. You have to purposefully offend me. Yeah.
I have a long fuse, but boy, once it's lit, look out.
Yeah.
Greeter TK says, I love Singing in the Rain too. Yeah, yes, Gene Kelly.
Oh yes, I love that. Oh, I love
Any
that.
Gene Kelly film I'll watch.
And I don't know why everybody's so against.
Transfixed with watching him.
Yeah, I mean, I just don't know how anybody could say they don't enjoy that because his movements and
he was
everything.
So athletic and incredibly elegant. He wasn't small and petite like Fred Astaire, who's also was like a
very elegant. Yeah.
Yes. But kind of a bit persnickety from what I understand and the vibe that I always picked up. Yeah. Gene was always congenial, actually, from what I understand. And from what I pick up with his spirit. He was a unique person, decent person, I think, too. And his films, friggin' cool. The man could sing, he could dance. He was like, didn't he do like I don't know, something super fit, like where they gymnastics. I know he was like, he was one of those guys like, who's the other dude that I'm picturing that was, so many men and women respected and liked him that he was also did his own stuff. I'll come to it later, another time. But in the same chit chat, we want to roll on. We're talking about NDEs. Now, if you're not sure what that means, it's a near-death experience. And there are a variety of ways that you can have an NDE. Of course, all are indicating that, yes, something's very, very wrong.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to go on into that, but just skirt some basics about NDEs, saying that there's a variety of ways to have them, and we're going to allow Kathleen J. Lightworker to tell us here about hers, and it's a real honor for you to share this with us. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you. I the first few times I did this, I was so into myself because it was very traumatic.
Yes.
And everybody's like, why don't you shout that to the world? And I'm like,
you got to first try to even grasp what just happened to you.
Exactly.
And that can take years. That can
take
years to piece that together.
Yeah. So in 2002, I had a brain aneurysm.
Oh my goodness.
They were taking me via ambulance because they wanted to fly me, but the weather wouldn't cooperate. So they were taking me via ambulance to Oklahoma City because our rural hospitals, there's nothing they could.
Right.
They could.
There's people. The accident I had that put me in the chair. There's no triage out there. There's no trauma center nearby.
Yeah. So I mean, those guys are like the MASH unit to get you stable enough to transfer.
Right. And you're rural at the same thing. I was out in a farmer's field, down a slope. So it is horrible. The first ambulance couldn't make it. And as you're saying, I'm just glad that you were able to get someone out there to you. So you're in a rural
community.
Oklahoma.
I live 4 miles or 3 miles from a town of 1,500.
Gotcha.
And it's like
you're talking.
I live, yeah. So
I know those
I'm very, very rural.
Very small town. Very small town.
So when they were transporting me to the city, I in the back of the ambulance, I died. And
Lord have mercy.
Mike said that somebody got between him and the ambulance, because he was following me.
Got you.
And he said,
and Mike's your husband?
Yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah, Mike's my husband. Mike's my husband. And he by the time he could get around, the ambulance was gone. Those guys were on the ground flying low. And they were talking to me, but at that point in time, I could make noise, but I had the type of aphasia that I could speak clearly, but it was nonsense. And then I would just be locked into silence and trying to communicate, and then it would be nonsense again. I didn't have the dead tongue. So they were trying to talk to me, and I was trying to answer them, and then the next thing I knew, there was a tunnel of light that they always talk about, but it was not like, it was more like a light was opening. Not like and I thought, oh no. And
this is big.
This is, and when I walked toward it and reached out, it was like all of a sudden just that reaching thing made me be with the and there were 3 beings. They were made of light. And they the one was my spirit guide, and she's been with me my entire life.
Bless.
The other was, I think it was my father. But I can't say for sure, but there were times that made me think of it again, and that was when I was thinking of my father. So I kind of connect the two, because the 2 beings spoke to me for a long time, but I have no memory of it.
Certain things they won't allow you to remember.
Yeah, but the one that was attached to me, my spirit guide. I mean, I know everybody was in my family, or in my pod or whatever.
Yeah, but your peeps.
My peeps.
Yes.
There was 3, and the other one was, I just get the feeling because of I don't know, my grandmother had a real affinity with nature, a real affinity. I mean, I'm talking a real, there was a bobcat,
Gifted.
that baby bobcat that she saved and released, and it came back and had its babies at her house.
Oh, wow.
That's
It
that's
bonded to her and trusted
yes,
her.
yeah. So that's what I'm talking about a real affinity with
That's
nature.
cool. That's so
And
cool.
yeah, I got a story about the bobcat, but anyway, it's not NDE related, but it is a
Well,
spirit
we'll
animal.
talk about that. We
So
got plenty of lives to
to spread them out.
chit chat. Yes, it's so
but
fun. Go ahead.
but
So you felt like
and it was that was the same, you know, the same vibe I was getting from her. It was
that
like
energy, the same
the
energy feeling.
yeah. And so that's the reason why that I've named them, you know, my father and my grandmother,
Mhm.
and both of them spoke to me for a long time. And I mean, it was like, I don't know, it seemed like maybe 45 minutes to an hour had passed when all this happened. And I I I turned to my guide, and my guide told me that um I could stay or go, you know.
Mhm. So you were
It's
having a window of decision.
yeah. And he told me, he said, if you go back, it's going to be really, really hard, and you're going to have to go through some stuff. But you can go back. And so, I mean, now here's the deal. I loved my husband, loved my kids, and felt a real responsibility towards them because I knew how much it would hurt them. You know, I knew
Absolutely.
I couldn't stand that thought. But I have never in my lifetime felt the peace, the love, I mean, just like I was wrapped in it. And I told them, you know, I have to go back. But even though I loved them so much,
It
it
took a
I
moment.
yeah, yeah. And um, you know, when I said no, I have to go back, I looked down at my body, and I realized that I was made of light. Me. And my legs, I had my mother had the measles in the first trimester of pregnancy, and I was born without one leg.
Oh,
And so when I looked down,
yeah.
I had two legs. I mean, I was light energy. I didn't see my body, but I
Right.
had two legs that went all the way to the floor.
Yes. As a disabled person, yes.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. And it was like, you know, and then I looked back up at them, and it was like all of a sudden it was like I could almost recognize them, because it was almost as if me realizing that I was the same thing. All of a sudden I could pick out features that I couldn't in the moment before.
So
And
your kind of relaxing and going into that made you see more in more
right,
detail.
right.
I
And you know, I was just so, I don't know. It hit me that we are souls having a human experience.
Yeah.
And those people I met were souls. Whether they were angels or I don't know, but they were souls. And I looked down at, you know, at my body again, and then all of a sudden I see me laying on the gurney,
Oh dear.
and
Oops.
they had he had the shock paddles, you know, you know, And the other guy had a laryngoscope,
Uh-huh.
and I was, oh no, and just like that, I was back in my body, and I felt the poof, and that hurts.
Yes.
Don't get
Yes,
me
it
wrong.
does.
And I was desperate. I was thinking, okay, FYI, I used to be a nurse. When you're in a hospital setting and they intubate you, it's a smooth deal, one and
Right.
done. When you're in the back of an ambulance on Oklahoma roads, you're gonna be losing some teeth. And so
Oh.
I was like, I was like,
Uh-huh.
don't do it, don't do it,
Not yet.
don't.
Wait a second. Just give me a moment. That's what I was trying to do. And I threw up on him. But go ahead.
Don't do it, don't do it.
I know. I'm feeling all of what you're saying. I too had that experience. That was not
But
fun to be intubated.
I
Go
mean,
ahead. So
when I got to the hospital, and at first I couldn't move anything. I would go in and out of consciousness, and I couldn't communicate, and people were talking to me, and I was understanding everything perfectly and trying to respond, but it would be nonsense. And
Right.
sometimes I would be trying to respond, and it would be like, and I couldn't move either my right or left side.
Ah, man.
So
that
yeah,
must have been frightening.
yeah. And that's what I was going to say. That experience of going through the NDE, I think, is the only thing that kept me sane, as far as not just screaming wildly, because I was,
Because of the shape you were in. Yes.
yeah,
Very rough
because
shape.
I knew that they told me if I went back, it would be hard. And so I thought, okay, they said it would be hard. They didn't say it would be impossible. So this will pass. They said it would be hard. They didn't say it would be impossible. This will pass.
You just got to truck through. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. And, finally, my left side started waking up a little bit, and my right side remained flaccid, but my artificial leg is on the left. So I had right-sided weakness with left-sided amputee.
You just decided to add a little bit more to that difficulty plate, didn't you? Yes,
I did.
girl.
Yeah.
You said, "Oh, I can handle this heat."
But it's, I mean, I had
word.
all the thing, and a month later, I got out of the hospital.
That's really, you were there a very short time, given all that trauma. So, can you describe for people that don't know what this feels like, what it felt like to have the nerves and that the one side of you, or the other parts of you wake up, quote unquote?
Wake up.
How did that feel? What was that like?
Well, I mean, at first it was like, I would move a finger, and I could see it move,
Right.
and I'd move. There would be some movement, and I'd been trying desperately to move anything.
Oh yeah.
And so, then I was afraid. I was like, no, I bet that's just in my mind, because I couldn't necessarily see anything. And so then I would say, okay, and I would move my hand enough to thump the bed. And then I got really excited because
so big deal. My goodness. All right. So that's awesome. So then you get finally up to that point.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And so then, it was like from the big motor skills, the big muscles of thumping my hand. And it was like those came back super quick. I mean, it was just like, it was like once I figured out the big motion, everything, and I
Wow.
didn't have there wasn't it wasn't like the severed. Now this side, it was like this, the nerves were severed or something, because I had
Right.
tingles and all
That's
that
what
kind of
I
stuff.
have in both my legs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it was tingles and all that kind of stuff. In the one that came back, it was almost as if it had just been compressed, or just, so I'm thinking in my brain, it, because they debated, they had me prep for surgery and all that kind of stuff, because they were like, you are at the point where if it goes like 1 millimeter further, we have to cut it, because it was in the middle of my brain.
Oh
It
my
wasn't.
goodness. So the brain aneurysm you had was in the center between the lobes?
Yeah, well, actually, it was at that, the hypothalamus
Mm.
and the thalamus. I had it. Mine was between the hypothalamus and the thalamus is the exact, and it's about a walnut-sized
Oh, yes. The
dead spot.
walnut. Oh my God. That area.
Yeah.
Okay.
And the things that could have happened. I mean, the things that could have
Ah,
happened. I could have been.
you're lucky you're not. Well, you're lucky to be here. Yeah, you know
Yeah. I
that.
mean, if I have trouble regulating my temperature,
Autonomic dysreflexia.
and it's because of where the stroke happened. It, I could have, if it had gone any further, I could have my body would have just gone shoop, with either my temperature through the roof or through the floor.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So, I mean, it was a pretty,
That
pretty
is,
big,
yeah, that is
big
a
deal.
tense, long time to be that hypervigilant, to be that, the stress of that,
Yeah.
the stress
You
of that.
know, I mean, and it, you know, during, I didn't expect to be such a burden on my family at first.
Oh God, I know that.
And yeah, and that nearly killed me, because
Mhm.
I thought, I came back to help them, and I am such a burden because of how much, of course, they didn't care. They were just glad I was here, but
Oh heck yeah.
it it would sit on my shoulders, and excuse me, and then when it got at its worst, and I was thinking, you know, horrible, like horrible thoughts, because I couldn't get
Thank you,
up, and
Mary.
couldn't, and um, I thought of my father. My father had cancer,
Hmm.
and he uh, he at one point he tried to get into the gun safe, because the uh, the treatments that he was getting were, at that time, $10,000 a shot, and this was in 1995, 96,
That
95.
it is evil that that is the case. That poor man. So I can totally
So,
understand where he would
so,
be.
so he was thinking, in order for my mother not to be in poverty,
Yeah.
because the insurance would only cover $2,000 of it, so $8,000 a month, each month, was what they owed.
Hmm.
And so, was I psychic before the NDE? Well, Yes and no. I've always been empathic, and I've always, I've uh, done Reiki and all that kind of stuff, but I didn't get um, like the flashes of insight. I didn't get the, just be thinking about something and a movie play in my head,
Gotcha.
So I,
You
so
leveled
that's kind
up, but you leveled
of
up.
leveled up, leveled up. But yay. But I think the that that's the reason why I think that it's my father, because I would think about him, and he didn't do away with himself or anything, but I was thinking how devastated my mother would have been, how devastated we would have been, and I mean I
Yeah,
understand, um, you know, if someone is in pain, but at that time he was not in pain. He was just, he was like,
an
I'm not
emotional
going.
pain.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, exactly. And um, you know, I I would think about, I came back. I chose to come back. I chose this. This is not forever.
yeah,
I will find a way to get around this. I will find a way to get through this. Everybody,
exactly.
but I think that's the reason why that my dad keeps coming to mind with that, because I think that was part of the talk that I had was, you know, I was going to get into that mindset, and he was advising me against it.
Yeah, because that's you can really, oh, that's a bad rut, and it for some people, as we know, they don't pull out of that. There's a lot of people that don't, and you've got to really focus. I can only speak for myself, but for me, um, I had to really focus on what I could do, and how to adapt, how I can change things so that I was able to do things as independently as possible.
Right.
Does it take me an hour in a day sometimes to do something by myself? Yes. Have I had to learn how to ask for help? Yes.
Yeah. Well, and I got so much better so much quicker. And it was like, as far as being psychic, it was like, oh, thank you so much. You're
Yeah, I'm
so
just
sweet,
quietly
Peachy Pop.
popping up little things because I want you to continue to talk, but to respond to what you want.
But the thing that really I had, uh in 2018 I had shingles in the ear.
Oh
And
no, my mom had that. It was so painful.
it was like, I already had
Oh
the
no,
deficit.
yeah.
So it was so much more, and it took me 2.5 years to get over it. They said that, and on an average, that anybody that has it really bad could be 18 months. So something about my brain aneurysm or the nerve damage, that it was something. I was 2.5 years before I got to where that I could, walk across the floor.
My mom is still, yeah, and it's been over a year, a bit,
Yeah.
and now she's got some recently diabetic, so she's having to make changes and stuff.
Bless her
And
heart.
it's, yeah, for real though. And
Yeah.
so what you're saying, I totally understand that people, I don't, that's why I want you to share it, because I don't think everyone understands how really impacting and
Well,
suddenly and
well,
traumatizing.
yeah. I mean, it's like, okay, the vertigo, um, the
Ah,
the transient pain, the
ah,
flaccid face. I mean, at first it was pain constantly, but then it's pain because you've got nerves that are trying to reattach, and your that one side of your face will get horribly hot, and everything because of the nerves trying to reconnect and all kinds of stuff. And after it happened so much, it was like I got a form of PTSD because of the fact that since I was so unsteady anyway, being having right-sided weakness and on my left side having a prosthesis,
Yeah.
it was to where that I would have to crawl to the bathroom, just kind of drag myself, and I, um, I couldn't make myself put my foot to the floor. And I've always been a person that was, you know, you go. It's pain. Get over it. Come on. Let's
Yeah, I
go.
know.
Let's go.
I
Let's
feel
go.
you, sister. I know what you, and I totally get it. I'm the same way. It's like, grin and bear it. You have to go pee. Let's get this over with.
Yeah, yeah. You don't have a choice. Come on. Let's go.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, I had been a nurse and I had taken care and I had empathy for um, for people who had traumas, people who had issues. I try, but for the
Not,
first time, I had it, and I could truly understand. And I, Lori in the Way of Positive Change had said that she, she used the tarot in order to get over the death of her daughter. And I thought that's the only thing that I could imagine ever that would be the most traumatic, the most kill
excruciating moment,
excruciating,
moment to moment.
kill your soul kind of
Yeah.
feeling that I can imagine. And so um, I used the tarot to get out of bed, and then I realized that if I used the tarot to do that, other people could too. Other people could see, get the pretty pictures, and find out, what that card says to them, what the meaning behind that card is, you know, and try to examine all of the feelings that picture or that card invokes and build from there.
Yes.
And so that was when I had huge growth in my gifts, as far as it was like after I had the NDE, I was given something, but I didn't know how to develop it and everything until the final piece clicked with the feelings. It was like I could put myself into, you know, what someone else needs and wants and all this kind of stuff, but I couldn't completely take out all of me and just look at them until I had a the a emotional psychological thing, and then it was
Like
like,
an epiphany.
yeah, 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 and then it was like, oh, okay, I know what, I can do with this. I know what I can do with, because I have always been very um I because I grew up with my leg, being
Hmm.
and everything. I It was like, I know you won't respect me for my athletic ability. So I'm going to be a um a, I'm going to work on my intellectual side. And it was that intellectual side that was like standing right here in front of my face, and it was like, no, you cannot do. And I was like, but my granny did this, and my um and it was like, no, it has to make sense to you. You have to. And so I said, okay. Okay. I have to make it make sense. So I took a course in remote viewing, and I took a
Did
course in
you?
tarot, and I took, all this kind of stuff. And it was like, I don't know. It's like I had to work with my strict, it has to make sense to you. And so I said, okay, if it has to make sense to me, okay, fine. But it doesn't have to make sense to everyone in the world. It just has to make sense to me.
Right. The biggest struggle is really with yourself and
Hmm.
what's been projected and conditioned that you don't even know that you're doing that is really toxic to you.
Yes.
And and I really firmly believe that it gets us working on that. And no, it doesn't mean we're perfect people by any means,
Hmm.
but it just means there's certain things that we're supposed to karmically
Yeah,
burn
and it
up,
it was
so to
like
speak.
I had to connect everything
Ugh,
before it would click. And
you had to have those steps. You had to have that
hmm,
time,
yeah,
that
yeah,
journey.
yeah, I never do anything easy.
No, me neither. It's like, what's this? Go big or go home? Oh, hospital stay? I'll take 3 months. Ridiculous. I hear you. Yes, please put a thumbs up. Thank you so much. I do appreciate that. And so, how old were you again when this happened?
I was 34,
You were young.
33. Let's see, how old was I? 33 or 34? I don't know.
That's
I'm
yeah,
I'm 53 now.
right. You're my age. So that was you were young.
Hmm.
Oh my God. And when this aneurysm, this for those of you that may just be joining, Kathleen experienced. Hello, Mama Bear. Kathleen experienced an NDE, maybe more than one, for all I know. I'm not sure. We're going to find out more, but that's what we're talking about. And she's explaining also that she's disabled. She's an amputee, or not amputee, but was born without a leg. Is it
Hmm.
just all right? Yeah, and
Well, I don't have two of my toes are missing too. That it was kind of a,
oh yeah,
uh, the,
affected the
mm,
limbs, the lower
mm.
limbs. Her mother had
Oh, it was
measles, right?
right. And what it was
Hmm.
really interesting is they did an X-ray of it, and we have, everybody else in the world has two bones in the lower leg, the
Okay.
tibia and the fibula.
Oh yes, yes.
Yeah, yeah. And the condyles are what makes up your knee, at the top of those bones. And
Hmm.
so I have two bones joining at the knee, so there's a condyle on either side,
Got you.
and then it grows to one.
Oh, does that hurt?
Well, yeah, sometimes.
Oh,
Only only when it's cold outside.
I got you. Oh man. Well, but so you're dealing with, like me, you're dealing with, and many other people, chronic pain on a daily basis,
Hmm.
and trying to remain positive and focused and deal with family and all the stuff that comes with that. And
Right.
how did you ever tell your family about your NDE? I bet.
It took me several years to do it, because I I was like, logical brain here. I was like, okay, did that happen, or was it the bleeding in your brain and it just made? But I thought, there's so many things from those days that you cannot remember. You have huge blanks in. If it was a
Mm-hmm.
a if it wasn't something you were supposed to remember, what wouldn't you have? And so I went around and around and around and
Oh
around,
my goodness. Yeah, that is, I have to say, I can relate because I think I would do something very similar.
You know,
And I've done that with my own situation in certain ways where you hop on when you get on the wheel,
Yeah.
the hamster wheel in the head.
Hamster wheel. I call that the monkey mind.
It is the monkey mind. That is very another better way to express it. Oh my
Well,
goodness.
hamster wheel's pretty doggone good.
That's what I feel
honest.
like. It's like I'm driving myself bananas. I can't get away from myself. It's like I'm trying to tell myself, stop thinking, shut up.
Yes.
Just stop.
and and somebody said, and what I love is one person said the other day on one of my videos that you it was a comment after the fact, so I just deleted it, but they said you with your predictions you don't have any grasp on reality. You're just too bright and sunshiny and all the on and on and on. And I thought, oh honey,
Wow.
if you don't even know what kind of grasp on reality
I got reality by the cojones. Yeah. Isn't it great how these people just presume that they know? And it's like, and you, how dare you presume to know a thing? You are rude. And you wouldn't, and you know what I've come to start typing is, you wouldn't say this to my face. Some of them probably would, but I can't say that I wouldn't roll over their toes. By accident, of course.
Strictly by accident.
Oh my gosh. My God. That's just something. Yeah, you just, those people, they've got nothing better to do. They act like they are bothered to have to be any kind of empathetic or admit that because they're still stuck on that conditional thinking that if there is a health issue or a mental health issue, you're weak, or you're not doing enough, you're lazy, or they have all kinds of notions about your life.
Yeah, but I've been a nurse, and you wouldn't believe how many of these good old boys, who, tough guys and everything, wimp out at a needle. Go, so I was so sick of working the floor. That's the reason. I work ICU and I work ER, but I don't.
I wanted to
quit
be a
taking.
nurse. I wanted to be a nurse. You couldn't
I
take
couldn't take. I could, because I thought if I spend 8 hours with, Billy Bob and everything and Karen and everything else, and doing their stuff about, oh, my split end is horrible, and look at my finger, look at that nail.
I'm going to die. I'm
Yeah.
just going to die.
Yeah. And whenever you have people who can't breathe down the hall and they're getting all upset because their ice cream,
Trifle.
yeah, their ice
Trifling.
cream isn't the flavor they wanted.
Definitely experienced that on hospital wards and seeing that go on. Being that I've spent so much time in the hospital.
Yeah. Bless your heart. What all happened to
for me? I was in an auto accident when I was 17, which that was 1986 for us because we're the same age. And I was ejected. I wasn't wearing a seatbelt, and I shattered 2 vertebrae in my lower back. So I'm paralyzed from waist down. And I can't, there's no movement. It's just static. Like you said, it feels like pins and needles, constant pain, but I just try and kind of outthink it, try to focus, on something else, invest myself where I can. But sometimes when the pain is too much, I do have to take, it's rare that I take it, but, gabapentin.
Yeah, that gabapentin it's wonderful if you need it, but you be very sparing because the side effects are real.
Yeah, they are. They are. And I don't, that's why I said I don't use it very much. It will make me sleep a lot longer,
Yeah.
and that kind of thing once I do finally go to sleep. There's other medications that I have to use because I've got I had a bleeding ulcer. That almost killed me.
Yeah. I had a bleeding ulcer too.
So,
Yeah. And the interesting thing was the difference in, let's see this, the difference in my right side, that I still don't have good control. The
ah,
nerve, it's like the nerves, I'll have nerve pain and everything in that occasionally. But this side, now here's one thing that's weird though. I fell and broke my wrist on my left side,
shoot.
or my right side, I'm sorry, because I always turn to, I'm it's like I do it without thinking, because I want to protect the side that works.
No, hell yeah.
You know, and I'll do it without thinking, and so I wound up breaking my wrist, and I thought, oh God, it's gonna hurt, and it's gonna hurt, and it's gonna hurt, and it's gonna hurt all the time. And
Mm-hmm.
when it gets cold, this wrist aches. This wrist did not have any injury.
But the repetitive use and more function on it is going to make it probably hurt a bit more, maybe.
I don't know,
Because you
but
use
it's
it so
like,
much, it's your dominant.
and I was right-handed, and now I'm left-handed. And you should see my handwriting.
Oh no. Oh man. My God. Yeah, someone says my cat takes that payment. Yes, many times they will give cats gabapentin. Yep. Oh my goodness. Shield Maiden says she was addicted to it. Oof.
Yeah,
Oof.
I mean, it's the thing is it can cause tremors and all that kind of stuff at high milligrams continually, and um, you know, it
I'm
is something to deaden the nerves. So you got to think, what all is it doing? You know?
right. Yeah, and I'm just uh, sorry about that, Shield Maiden. I just intuitively just felt like that's one that I will keep for the nights when I cannot get
Yeah,
myself around the leg weird phantom
yeah,
neurological stuff.
uh-huh.
My cat may or may not be addicted to his GABA. Well, if he needed it,
Yeah, if you needed it, or if you need it, and if you are taking it in the proper dosages, you do the least amount of milligram that will, you know, so that's the way they prescribe it usually, is
mhm,
you start out on the least level, and you see if that works. If that
right?
works, stop.
Yeah, because that medicine's not a joke. She's saying yes, the nerve damage is also irritating, and I'm scratching right here because I have nerve damage, and it feels like a burning itch. Sometimes it
Mhm.
starts off like that, and then I
Yeah.
got numbness because I've also got stenosis in my neck.
Yeah,
So
it's like on, especially on this side, it's like, it's so weird because I can feel you scratching in
yeah,
spots, but
sensation's crazy.
yeah, but it's like I know you're scratching me. I feel the thing, but it's not the same as if you go over here and scratch. It's it's weird.
Sherry H says, my family will tell you I'm a pill Nazi when it comes to my meds. Me too. I know everything up and down. And it's a good thing I did because one of those times when I was in the hospital, there was a problem with their nursing, and she nearly gave me somebody else's meds. Had I not looked at them and recognized that these were not mine.
Yeah.
And this person took methadone. This person took,
Oh wow.
yeah.
Wow wow.
But so she's saying I have to be seriously still hurting to take an extra pill. I try to get by in the same because I want it
Yeah.
to remain effective, and I
Yeah.
have a small window. So we learn to the tarot as well helps me to put my
Put your focus.
You alter your consciousness, and it does really help. It really does help. She's saying if she didn't have it, she would get freezing cold shield making. Wow. So yeah, because I feel like I've got a problem definitely with autonomic dysreflexia, and that is with, like, even when I get triggered for a hot flash, quote unquote, I feel like there's like something else going on there too with me because of my.
Well, that's the way with me. If I can be out doing stuff and be fine, and then be on the ground because it was too hot that day, and everybody else knew they were getting hot and they went in, but me, I didn't feel it, and then boom, and then like I get too cold. If I get too cold,
Yep.
it's like
I can't. That's why I've got the heating. You know why my heating drape.
Yeah.
It'll
Because
trigger.
It's like if my body ever gets too cold, it keeps dropping instead of and I have to really warm. We figured out that if you put
Your
a
method.
damp, a damp those little lap blankets that you can get.
Oh
If
yes.
you can put a damp washcloth in the middle of them, stick them in the microwave. Fold it up, stick them in the microwave, put the damp washcloth in the middle of them, and the microwave, it goes to the damp washcloth, and steam rises, and then you take it all out. The whole blanket is warm, and you put it on me.
That's great, because then you've got that warm, moist heat,
Mm-hmm.
which is really necessary.
Yeah, and rice bags work too. You put a just regular rice into a bag and sew it up,
Mm-hmm.
and you can reheat it and use it over and over again, and the rice lasts a long time.
Ah, I had no idea. I just recently picked up, because of sinuses. Like I said, where did I set that down now? I tucked it aside. Oh yeah, I put it in the other thing. But they're these self-heating eye masks that heat up.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I didn't know that they made them. I'll put them in my community tab for anybody that's interested, just to see if they can help to deflate these bags a little bit and get my,
Yeah.
and I think I fell asleep with it on the other night, so it must have relaxed me. Another homemade trick, yes, rice bags.
Yeah.
Sherry say.
Yeah, I mean they are awesome, and you can they maintain their heat for an hour. I
Does
mean
it? Wow.
especially if it's wrapped up. What I do is I put on my one my one foot. I won't say feet. I put on my one foot um the I wrap it up in one of those little cheap um throws,
Mm-hmm.
you get for the bit, and I'll wrap it up and put it in the covers, and put my feet or my foot. I can't do it because
It's
proper
okay.
grammar.
Yeah, you're fighting with yourself.
Yeah, but I put that on there, and then it keeps my feet warm so much, and it's all night long. And when I get up in the
Oh,
morning, I will, it doesn't feel as warm as it did the night before, but there's still heat there
that's
coming
a
out
good
of that.
trick, especially with winter time and people,
Hmm.
it's like been really cold. Like when it gets really cold, I don't want to get out of bed.
And I've done it with feed corn. I've done it with rice, and you can do it with I don't know. I
But
mean,
rice was the most effective, the longest lasting.
yeah, the feed corn, it you can't get it as hot as you can the rice. So,
Interesting.
but the feed corn does, you know, stay at a consistent temperature longer than the rice does. So, but I really think rice was the probably the easiest.
Oh, that's yeah, and that's a really helpful tip. And somebody saying here, it sounds like a new sewing project. Like and somebody else, I always use tube socks, the real thick ones. Sherry H.
Yeah, you can. That's a great idea, Sherry,
Shortcut.
because I've done that with when my kids needed a heating pad or whatever. You take the sock, pour the rice in it, tie the
Nah.
end, and throw it in the microwave, and they can put it on their neck. They can wrap it around whatever their ankle or their wrist or whatever, and
That's
it
a
works real good.
super great idea. Mama Bear says, I have muscular dystrophy. Oh, yes. And if I'm
So
out doing,
sorry, honey.
yeah, that's tiring and painful. So if you're out doing errands for a while, your body can feel like it's cold. It affects you. Yeah. And A can keep you, oh, yes. I'm
Yeah.
sorry too, because that's another level. That is another level. And especially if your body cannot regulate. A lot of times with the sweating as well that I'm having come and go, it's like I'm up most of the night dealing with that, taking off shirts, sitting there, wiping myself down, cleaning my, because I don't want to smell like sweat all night. It's just,
Right.
ugh.
Yeah.
So when you're saying it will keep you up all night, yes. If my muscles get too cold or tense because of the stenosis I've got in my neck, I will get like a headache that will start and come over, and it's bad. So I've learned to keep my muscles warm. I do have to do that, and it's like, well, I wish they would make these a little more stylish, but I'll see what I can do. Sherry says, I have 4 vertebrae fused in my neck. Steel rod. I bet it's a Harrington rod with 6 screws basically holding my head up. But hey, I can turn my head now. I couldn't before surgery. Right on. Yeah, I've had my back fused twice, so I'm a lot more stiff than some people. You have my empathy.
Yeah.
And I had the
Mine
rods.
too.
I had the rods. But I had to have them out after a year because my body didn't like them. They did their purpose, and then my body was like, out.
Yeah.
But I do have the screws. I still have the screws in my spine. So I feel your injury.
Yeah. I when I was in the Crippled Children's Hospital from the Shriners.
I went to Shriners.
You
San
did?
Francisco.
Mine was in Louisiana. It was Shreveport, Louisiana.
Aww.
And but at the time of one of my surgeries, there was the girl in they had wards where with beds, to it wasn't like you go into your room. It was like, there would be 8 beds in a big room, and we'd have a nurse, and then there'd be 8 beds in another room, and they'd have a nurse. That was the way it was. And oh, that poor little girl, she had a rod put in her back, and I mean,
yeah, those they.
I just
it's heartbreaking.
I would sit and we would talk, and then there was a little bitty girl, and the girl having the rod in, she was about the same age I was, about 14, and then there was a little girl that had her leg was she had a foot and everything, but it was like she had one leg, the foot's here and one leg of the foot's here, and they were going to cut off her tiny foot because it was like it was a tiny foot and leg,
Right.
I don't know if her mother had measles or
some kind of birth defect,
some kind of, but it was some sort of birth defect, and she couldn't speak English, and so I was trying to talk to her, and she was scared and all that kind of stuff, and so
yes, a lot of kids from Mexico we had as well, and they have no family. They are there by themselves, folks.
Yeah, she was like, I think it was from Honduras, maybe, because
Central
there was
America.
a bigger girl that was, I mean, from, it wasn't like she knew her before. It was from, like, she was from the same area and she could speak to her.
Oh, God.
And um, she said that the little girl, because I have dark hair and dark eyes, I mean, my eyes are really actually a dark green and I have dark hair, but the little girl said I look like her mommy. So they had cut on the bone in my leg to do stuff. So I had that, but I would still help this little girl, and she would sleep with me in my bed
Oh, oh.
because she was
As a,
crying and I couldn't stand that.
no, as a mother, and no, like no.
Well, I wasn't a mother. I was 14 years old, but I couldn't
But
stand
still,
that anyway.
it's a maternal, natural thing. I'd be the same way. It's like, no, no, baby. Oh my goodness. Yeah, I saw a lot of the kids there, and they were wonderful to reach out to and connect with. Though they didn't always want us getting on their ward and that sort of thing. But the things I saw little kids dealing with was, even it puts your stuff in perspective. When you see little kids dealing with that, so it's
Yeah.
very tough, very tough.
Yeah.
Oh, the cortisone injections didn't work. Yeah, I get them sometimes, and I haven't had them for a while, but I have to get them usually like here and here because of the stenosis.
Hmm.
No wonder you became a nurse, Barbara says.
Yeah.
And so
Yeah.
when did you go into nursing? How
Uh,
old were you then?
How was 22 whenever I got my license.
Oh my goodness.
So
And so there,
I and the thing is, my mother and father tried to talk me out of it because I was going into a field where walking, I bet you I would do 20 miles in a day when I walked the floor, and um they didn't want me to do that, but you know
you got to do what your heart is calling you out to
yeah.
do. And you learned a lot from that. I
Hmm.
mean, a lot. How many years did you do nursing?
It was 12 years.
That's a long time. That people get burnout. I mean,
Mm.
badly. Most of the nurses that I know, and I know a lot of nurses, um, a lot of them have had to step away at some point
Yeah,
because of,
but then usually they go back to it.
yeah, usually. But unless there's been a physical
Yeah. Yeah, I
exhaustion.
can't. I
Uh-uh.
can't. I have big holes in my memory. Um, and I've always been somebody who, um, I worked ER, I worked ICU, I, and so to me, having a nurse in whatever capacity, someone that you rely on to know what to do in any situation, because if you are a nurse, you are expected to take charge of that situation if something happens.
Right?
I don't care if you are in a nursing home or a hospital or a triage unit. You have, and so because I have holes in my memory, I know, I mean, there's certain things that I know, but there's some things that I don't, and I won't put myself back in that thing because I don't think I'm reliable.
Yeah, I can understand. You know what your limitations are, you
Yeah.
know? And but you got 12 years. My
Yeah.
God, you affected so many people. There's people that I know that don't last that long. They last half of that.
Yeah.
And so
Yeah, that was
doing
the
that
thing.
and with a real physical impairment and girl, here's an award. Seriously.
No, no, it really the the aneurysm really affected my self-worth a lot because losing nursing was a big deal. I mean, not being able to move my arms and all that kind of stuff, that's a big deal too.
Yes.
But
Oh my.
still, psychologically,
There's a whole nother ball that you get to deal with the physical
and
trauma.
and I think that coming into my gifts the way I did, I think it was just the slow, steady, because I had so much physically that I had to get back.
Oh God.
It took me a while before I could think to go in, to go within and
They're giving you medals here.
oh wow,
Isn't that
thanks.
cute? Oh, that's so sweet. You are
Thank
our Wonder
you.
Woman. Seriously, go ahead. What were you? I just thought that was so cute. I
That
just
was
look over
sweet.
there and I see.
That was sweet.
Pink.
Well, no, it was. That was very sweet. Made me cry.
Good, in a good way. No, and I can tell that the loss of the job. Yeah, because you get a lot of esteem, and then you've got to find where are you now going to get esteem from.
Right.
How are you? What does that look like? And you have you got to rebuild your life.
Yeah, I mean, and at first I was just concentrating on my kids were 4 and 11. So I was thinking about, raising them and, da 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 da. And, and the first couple of years I had seizures.
Oh,
and,
no. But I'm not surprised. Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, there's that. And so, and they're, if you've ever seen a seizure.
My daughter's epileptic.
Yes. Okay.
My youngest is epileptic. It's horrific.
Yeah. I mean, that is terrifying. So imagine being a kid and you're watching your mom have a seizure.
Yeah.
So there, I've had a lot to try to make good the best I could, but
I think you've done wonders. I do. You really, truly, because that is not, it tries every single piece of you, and you don't realize it. There's just so much. Oh, this is so sweet. Maya, Kathleen, you are two incredible ladies. Thank you, Indigo. Thank you for sharing your stories. I've been in some dark places, and you both are so inspiring and empowering to me. Oh, stop, because you know what? How long it took me to glue these on? Because I will cry.
I will cry too.
It will all be crying.
But the thing about I think that me and you have these experiences because we realize that it was the experience that made us what we became.
Yeah.
And,
it was required.
Yeah.
And it's, it is, it isn't, the other thing is that people will say, oh, I don't know, if I'd kill myself. It's like, well, thanks. And that doesn't exactly inspire me. Don't think I haven't thought about it.
I love it when somebody said, "Oh, you're so strong." I just, there's just
I picture
no way
myself with a face full of snot, crying in the bathroom with a towel over my face. Yeah, I'm strong. Yeah. Sure, I am.
Yeah, but the thing that always, comes to mind whenever I don't know how you did it. I don't know how you do it. You're just so, and all this kind of stuff. And I said, I did it with a lot of crying and and dragging myself around and everything else. And but what else could I do?
Yeah, you would. Some people do give up. I've seen that. unfortunately, I have seen that they get too depressed and it gets worse. They can't physically actually move. They can get to where they cannot. And so the one thing that does help is to try to do something that physically, even if you got to fail 1,000 times before you figure out an adaptation.
Well, I mean,
it's doing something.
Sometimes if I got up and took a shower,
miracle.
That was a win day. If I got up and put on a different set of clothes and
got the teeth brushed, maybe.
Yeah, that's a win day.
Yeah.
So,
it makes you appreciate the little things.
Yes.
And then you realize that's really what life's about. It doesn't have to be this, you don't have to become somebody big and famous and to make it and be a success. It's really about appreciating, I think, the little things, slowing down. And that's why I think we also had COVID. That was part of the reason, because the world needs to learn to slow down, in my opinion, from what I was seeing. So Bright Opal says, Sophie says, it's difficult to have to give up your career because of your health, especially when you were identifying to it so much and it was your life. You feel frustrated and powerless.
Yeah, you do. And but I had to come to the realization that myself, the soul who was having the human experience, was worth more than what I was assigning to it.
Oh gosh, that is, yes, it's true. What you're saying is priceless. I agree. That's been half of the thing is me realizing I would be nicer to other people. I would say things, my self-talk is always more kind to other people than myself. Got to get rid of that baggage, because it's really not who I am. That's been something I picked up through family, unfortunately, a bad coping mechanism, or with the intention of improving myself. But all it does is wreck me and make me feel worse. And it makes me feel even less inclined to do what I need to do.
Well, and the serenity prayer.
Sabotage.
Yeah, self-sabotage. The serenity prayer is I think, let's see, user electric. Oh, thank you. Thank you. That was so sweet, Peach Hippo. But I mean, it's like you have to stop that. And I still my mother and father and sister and everything always they never showed any emotional like support. There was never any, oh, I love you, come on honey, let's do that. No. And
you were on your own.
Yeah, and I decided that my children would not be raised that way.
That's
we
huge.
say love you, we say bye. But I didn't realize just how, until actually a couple of months ago, I didn't realize just exactly how, because I'm so much better than I was about talking bad to myself. But I got to thinking about it, and actually my daughter made me realize it, because she doesn't hear the internal talk that I have,
yeah.
But she said, "Oh my God, Mom, I can't." Her cousin, is my sister's son. She said he was talking to her on the phone, and I cannot believe that she would talk to anybody like that. She was oh, I just can't believe it. It was so awful, and I couldn't believe she was saying that to her son, and on and on and on. And all of a sudden, I at the end of it, her talking about everything, and I said, "Welcome to my childhood."
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Constantly being ridiculed.
And that was what. So I've gone back and I mean, I'm nowhere near what I was before in the internal chatter, but I'm going back and I'm trying to stop those negative thoughts.
Same. I'm
Because
still working
it's
on
hardwired. It,
And if your family doesn't do it, society still pushes a lot of really toxic masculinity that's
Mhm.
horrible for everyone. And that we have to be conscious of. So that's like a huge family thing that you changed. And when you can do that, that's huge.
Mhm.
You know, some people,
Ancestral trauma.
yeah. And it really is true.
You
I
can
was
break
talking to
it.
my daughter. Yeah. And stop the pattern.
Mhm.
And stop that pattern. So, did you have did you ever, because of the health, did you have more NDEs, or did you have any other more dreams that kind of came to kind of help you on
I've
your journey?
Yeah, there's been several times that I've met my spirit guide in my dreams,
Interesting.
and um, you know, I can in any situation, it seems like I can um with meditation, I can always have a real conversation, but otherwise, you know, I ask and I will get little uh like one word answers, images,
Mm-hmm.
knowings, all that kind of
Gotcha.
stuff will come to me anytime that I ask them. But real conversations, it's always seems like I have to be in meditation or dreams.
Same. I think my mind is just too. I got a lot of family stress and drama things to take care of, and that just kind of
Right.
occupies my mind. So I think seem to be more, like you said, maybe the most accessible when I'm asleep, but to really get me to fully understand. Although, like you said, I will get flashes here and there, and I am also I'm developing that still. It's something that I'm
Yeah.
working on daily. Um,
Yeah. And the thing is there's a lot of times that I feel, and I wanted to say right up with Sophie, yes, yes, you are strong, even if you are in the bathroom crying, even if, you know,
you're
yes,
leaning onto someone else, yes,
yeah,
whining from time to time. There's nothing wrong with that. You are
yeah.
strong for pushing through all this.
Sophie's my buddy,
Yeah,
so
she's a
she's
girl.
she's my girl.
A lot of
But
people.
the the gifts and everything, it's like um I don't ever like when people ask me for readings or whatever, sometimes I will just set down the cards and I'll say blah 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 blah. But sometimes I'll lay out the cards and everything. So I don't ever claim
Yeah,
the psychic thing because of the fact that sometimes I am not physically in shape to be to where that I can connect like
right,
and tell you. But sometimes, I can always connect through the cards.
right.
So,
And that is like my jumping off tool. It really helps.
yeah.
It's so versatile, and to me, it has been immensely helpful in healing and being able to be more objective about my own. past, and I recently, like as of last night, had a giant insight about my life, and it's pretty private, so I'll just keep it to myself. But it was like, wow, I didn't realize that
Mhm.
I hadn't been seeing the truth about that.
Yeah.
And so,
And
I'm still working.
yeah, and it's like whenever you have those realizations, then you're thinking back like, oh, well, in that situation, I got so upset about something, but if I did da 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 da, and then it's like you're taking that realization and going back over your entire life and thinking, oh my God,
Yeah,
how, yeah, I
it
done it.
is. Yeah, and it's like that's why I always have a notebook, because it helps me to write down these things and to gather my thoughts, to process,
Hmm.
you know, that. So I highly recommend, no matter who you are, and it's, oh, that's great. She says, I just prayed for the healing of my ancestors, shield maiden. I've got my candle going, so it's all lifting that up. Janet P says she had a great past life reading with
Thank you,
you. She said it
Janet.
was incredible.
Thank
Ooh.
you.
And
I
how much do you charge for private readings? Just curious,
oh,
so we can share that.
$30 for 30 minutes and $60 for 60 minutes, $90 for 90 minutes.
Oh, that's
I
really reasonable.
yeah, I mean, it took me a long time to get to where I even would charge, but I
You should, though.
yeah, I mean, so much of my time is limited because of the fact that I my health takes over.
Ditto.
And
So it's
so,
precious when you have that window open, and for you to
yeah,
set it aside for someone,
yeah. So
is a big.
that was and my guides basically said equivalent exchange.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fair is fair, and
Yeah.
I totally agree. I made the mistake early on of, people took so much advantage. I was, and when I was really young, and I felt guilty for charging anything. And then now, no, I don't. Same thing. I'm. It's an equal exchange. It's
Hmm.
as you said, because especially for if you have a limitation of energy, and everyone does. Everyone has some limit somewhere there.
Right.
Uh, that time you should be compensated for it, no matter what you're doing.
Yeah.
And try recording yourself. Oh, let's see. I was just Shawnee was saying try recording yourself. Shawnee says, I obsessively do that. To hear yourself is is my God, good. You'll hear things from yourself when you record.
Huh. Um. Like just okay. Just so what they're saying is just talk and talk, and then go back and listen, and you will be surprised at what you actually heard yourself say. You actually said. That's interesting. I might do that after, like, in meditation. That would
Truly.
be that would be interesting to
To
see if,
take apart.
yeah, yeah,
Janet P says she gave me action items. What are those to help work through issues? What are
yeah.
action items?
Well, when I do a past life reading,
Mm-hmm.
I we I look at the past, and that's the thing. I can tell you things about your childhood and stuff easily, but the future stuff is hazy to me. It's
Mm-hmm.
wispy. And so, but the past is a lot more um concrete to me. I guess because it's already happened. I don't know. I guess that's the way my brain works. I don't know.
Well, and maybe it's just easier for you to retrieve that information. Just aligns up, works the flow.
Hmm.
That, to me, it makes sense.
right. I mean, but anyway, so the I put out the cards, and when I lay down the cards, I show them to you one at a time, and you write down in a notebook what like if the color red comes out at you, um if you think, oh, uh kindness, or you think, oh, that's horrible, snakes, or whatever you think, like
Mhm.
3 to 5 words, and you write that down. And then I read the cards. You don't tell me anything about that, and I read the cards, and we go over what each aspect of that card meant to you, what it what and so you have things to work through. I tell you what happened, and the things that they dealt with. We find concurrent things that are in your life that you are dealing with, and then we figure out how you will go forward with that, getting over that hurdle.
Oh,
Did I
that's
explain it right?
yeah, yeah. I think it's fabulous. I'll be probably setting up an appointment with you pretty soon. Oh, really? How many people are ahead of me? Oh, that's so
um,
funny. Oh, Bright Smiles says, I've been lurking and listening. I also had a stroke 2 years ago, come March, and I realized just how blessed my outcome has been. Yet I feel, oh God, I know this feeling, as a burden, not being able to function like before. I know.
yeah,
I,
yeah,
I
and
really do.
you I finally realized that you have to get out of that. I mean, actually, you're thinking at like a victim of your own body. You have to start thinking, okay, what can I do? What can I do easily? Okay, let's do that. What can I do with a little bit of trouble? Okay,
Hmm.
let's. And then when you get to the things that you can't do at all, you think of, okay, first, what how can I approach this to get the same result as this?
Hmm.
And it's and then then you have to ask for help. But if you can think of a different way to, like, I store sodas in a little ice box in my bedroom,
Right.
so that so that I won't have to walk into the kitchen, because um, there's lots of cabinets and head hitting
Oh, no, no.
places. You know what I'm trying to say?
Yeah, yeah.
So they don't. So I will sit at the kitchen table to prepare dinner and meals, and I will, you know, but I'm not walking by myself into the kitchen to get a drink. And then my daughter will bring like four at a time, because or six at a time, because that's all it fits. But throughout the day, I'm not bothering anybody. Or whenever I'm in there with my daughter, I get my little thing to carry back to the room myself.
This sounds
And then,
like me.
you know, because it's any type of autonomy, to where that you feel like you've won any. And some of those battles are, if people are thinking like, you did all this for Diet Pepsi, come on, you know
But I'd do it
but
for
it
Coca-Cola.
yeah.
That's my guilty pleasure.
So it's like, it, every little battle we win, though, we have to count it as a win.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I had much the same here. I've got my little setup, my little rat's nest either side, so I can reach things. It's because I can't just jump up and run up and go and get, you know. So
Yeah, and whenever I get up, I have to put on my leg.
I feel you. I got to get in the chair And it's just like,
Yeah.
ugh, and drag my ass into that. And
You know, and I mean, and staying in the bed so much over the
you got
past
to
two
be
and a half
careful.
over the past
Yes.
2.5 years or 3 years now. It was, but I only stayed in the bed for 2.5. But the callus that I had on the end of my stump is gone now, so I have to remake it.
Oh,
So I have to be very careful because I've had blisters that encased the whole end of my leg before. So
my
you have to.
grandfather had that artificial leg, the same thing. So yes, you have to be, because if that rubs, you can get sores, and then you can get infection. You can end up in the hospital.
Hmm.
I've,
So
we all know that I've had the sores. That's terrible.
yeah,
But
yeah. So I have to build up
right, that callus
and
again.
yeah, callus again.
And how do you do that? Just curious. How do you do that?
Well, I've got some. It's a salve that I put on the bottom, and then I walk repeatedly, and the salve it has just a slight it's almost like a numbing, toughening kind of thing to it,
Oh wow.
and I walk a little bit, and then every day I'll do a little bit more, and so I don't know if I'm ever going to have the callus I had then because I had that for my whole life. So I'm just hoping that I will get enough of one to at
Yeah,
least
so
cover.
that you can, so that it, yeah, that you're, but I think you will. I think
Yeah.
you will. I really do. It didn't happen. You didn't,
I didn't.
overnight.
Yeah, I didn't. It
You
took
know the
over
saying.
50 years to get it, so it'll take me more than a few months to
And you
get
got
it
the
back.
right attitude, so you know what you got to do. And some days I'm sure you're just like,
I've even made that sound before. You're psychic.
that's one of the sounds I make, along with some other ones that are very rude. I will not repeat because nobody wants to hear it. Oh my goodness. We did have a question about whether or not we've read each other. No, I haven't.
Mm-mm.
But
Mm-mm.
I am due for a reading. We are often the people that get the least readings.
Mhm.
I am. Oh, Bright Smile says me too. Make that noise. Shield Maiden says, I have a personal assistant because when my cortisone wears off, I can barely walk around. I believe it.
Yeah,
I
I
believe it.
do too. Yeah,
And
bless
you
your
get,
heart.
yeah, that's not a joke. It's really not. Never take your mobility for granted. That's for sure.
Yeah.
Oh, this is so sweet. I thoroughly enjoyed this live stream, Maya and Kathleen J. Lightworker Tarot. There was a lot of education for me from your true stories. Many thanks. A pleasure. It's a
Oh,
pleasure.
sure.
I'm enjoying this as well. You both are goofballs. Absolutely. That's it. You
Yes.
know what? Humor is a huge help in coping with dark stuff. You just ask
Yep.
any nurse, they have the darkest sense of humor. Same
Hmm.
for people that are disabled. We have, unless they're really like a little uptight or something. Some people are,
Yeah.
but not me. Yeah, I think you know that.
Yeah. I mean, that was like, it was so funny. I walked when I was in high school. It was high school or college. I
Mhm.
don't remember. But somebody, the guy, we were all sitting there, and everybody knew that. And somebody, they were talking about, they were arguing about who did what and everything, and who's going to take this um, project and all this kind of stuff. And then he said, "Well, she doesn't have a leg to stand on." He was talking about me, and everybody, and then he goes, "Oh," because he's thinking, "Oh my God, what did I do?" And I said, "Oh, you want me to run home? I got 5 in my garage." We can pass them out.
Well done. Well done. That is so funny. And I bet he's probably like mortified every time he thinks about it.
Yeah.
But that's
I mean,
hysterical.
people say that you don't have a leg to stand on. They're not talking figuratively.
Yeah.
But it was just an
I would
unfortunate.
laugh. I would die laughing. You handled that perfectly and funny. Yeah, I'll go back home and I could try on 5 different ones. Maybe I'll find one that I can stand on. Oh, thank you so much, Indigo Chrysalis Tarot. Time to go. Much love and light. And Indigo Chrysalis Tarot will be joining me on this Thursday, folks, for some true
Awesome.
crime. Yeah.
Awesome.
And I will be coming on to Kathleen's channel at some point and stuff. It's just,
Yes.
it takes time, you guys.
Yeah.
It takes time.
Yeah, I think I would love to have you. You want to come on, well, next Tuesday? Not this one, but the next one?
Sure. Yeah. Yeah. That would be, let me just see, that would
Let's
be,
see.
I got my calendar right here.
Okay, good.
Next Tuesday, not this one. This one is the 11th, but the 18th.
Mm-hmm.
That would be the 18th. Yeah. So I'm just going to put something, because if I don't, right now, it's gone. And I'll get things mixed up. My memory as well as could be better. It's not bad, but there, I'll just save that. Ooh. And I'm so grateful that you were able to come on, and thank you so much for sharing what you did. Your experience was so fascinating, and I know that there's more in there, and I'm going to fish it out at some point when we have more time. And
sure.
thank you so much for sharing so much about what you went through, your experience. It resonated with a lot of people. And JR says that guy probably feels horrible now.
I was his heart. I felt sorry for him. I mean, because you could see it was like, he said it, and then he
Mortified.
Yeah,
oh my god.
was his heart.
Oh my god. That is so funny. Tibba says that she gets light energy healing in Wichita, and it helps a lot. Yeah, I think that's probably Reiki, but it is really it's amazing. You say, is this the placebo effect? But it's really not. There is something to it.
Yeah.
There really is.
Well, energy, there's an energetic field. I mean, the thing is I can't see auras, but I've always been able to see. It's like there's a little fine, and it vibrates, and if it doesn't vibrate, you're dead probably. And so there's lots of times when I go and check on people as a nurse that I would open the door and look at them, and I would be calling the code and going to the bed and checking their pulse and all that, starting CPR. But I would call the code in the hallway.
Oh, wow. You just felt it. Oh, my God. Did you ever have because we've got 15 minutes, so this will be some fun, hospital stories. Did you ever experience, because so many people pass in these places, and as an empath, did you ever experience unusual activity or see anything that was?
Yeah. There was a lot of times when someone, especially it was like the babies and the little ones that were so traumatic for me and everything. It was like there was an aura, and then I couldn't see colors and everything, but there was always, with especially the little ones, there was always just it's like a glow to the room, and
Hmm.
and that and I swear that it would come down and then go out,
It's like
and when it
spread
went
out.
out like this, when it, spread out through the room, and then they would be gone. And that was the now
Wow.
with adults and stuff, it was more like they were concentrated, but for some reason with the young children and everything, it was like there was a, I don't know. It was like it's almost like they had more than one being come escort them or something. You
Yeah,
know what I'm trying to
yeah,
say?
yeah, I do. It sounds like there's a escalation of energy that's coming in and
Hmm.
spreading out and then retrieving. It certainly sounds
Hmm.
like retrieving the
Yeah,
soul.
yeah. And then but grown-ups and it seems like
Hmm.
they when they would have
Hmm.
the come down, but when they would leave, they would just follow the path and leave. It was like almost as if those souls had to report to something or something, and the children ones were
They
just
get a
like,
pass
yeah,
instantly.
I mean, I don't know what the deal is, but
That's why it's so fascinating to hear because and interesting that you notice this feeling and I totally believe it. Hello, Chris Hambrick. We're unfortunately almost finished with this live, but you can play it back. There's no questions. We're just talking with Kathleen J. Lightworker here about her NDE near death experience and her experiences as a nurse and as a human being. It's fascinating. And what else with the hospital? You were saying that, so that's fascinating when the energy difference that you would feel when people were expiring, whether they were
mhm,
new children, unfortunately, or adult.
mhm. Yeah, you know, in ICU and ER, you know, there wasn't um it's like I was too busy
Yeah,
to hone in on the excuse me,
yeah.
on the energy and everything. But um there are times that different things that happen that just, you know, kind of left a mark, as far as being energetically um, telling to me.
Mm-hmm.
Is there was a gentleman who came in, and um, he had um, been impaled on a fence. He was trimming trees,
Oh dear.
and he fell out. He climbed up a tree and was doing and he fell out of the tree onto a fence.
Oh
And
God.
the
Mm.
the unfortunate part of it is, um, he the fence. It was like there was a steel pike, for a
Mhm.
fence post,
Right.
but they had put the new steel rod fence post in the ground, and were going back and, you know, redoing all the thing. They just, you know, and
Okay.
so then they had to get they didn't want to, put new wire up. So they, have to take the old rotten wood and do away with it, and everything. And then that was what they were going through and doing. But under his tree that he was cutting, the rotten wood was still there, but so was the rod.
Oh
So he
jeez.
had both rotting wood and the rod. and
Hmm.
he we lavaged his or washed out
Mhm,
his
mhm.
the abdominal cavity. He had not punctured of the um
Intestine.
any of the intestines. I mean,
That's
that's
amazing.
yeah, yeah. And so, I mean, he had it. It was near his spleen, and he nicked his spleen, so he had blood and all that kind of stuff. But there was no fecal. You
Yeah, which could
I mean, because you could smell
septicemia.
that. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
and everything, and it was so, you know, and of course, we had given him medicine and all that kind of stuff, about to take him to surgery, and he looked up over at the corner of the room, and he had all kinds of drugs, and all that kind
No,
of stuff.
I'm sure that poor man.
Yeah, but he said, um, "Granny, I promise, I'm not gonna do that again." Because I mean, he was in his like 30s and everything, and he said, I'm gonna, yeah, I'll do it, I'll do it. But he was talking to this grandma, and all this kind of stuff, and then um when
Grandma was not. It was like.
yeah, and then after, when he got out of the surgery and everything the next day, I went up and I asked him about his grandma, and he said she always told me that I take too many chances because I always consider myself. And he said, but grandma died, you know, about 5 years ago. And
Hmm.
he said, but now this is where it gets good, because I mean, the place that he nicked on his, I mean, it was just a very small deal. He had most of his thing, and um most of his trauma and everything. We got all the splinters out from the other thing. I mean, you know,
Incredible.
yeah. And
Incredible.
so he told me that when, as he was falling, that his grandma said, this is what, you don't do this anymore. This is what I'm talking about. He heard her in his mind, and he fell on that
No.
from out of the tree. I mean, he broke collarbone and all. I mean, because he had an impact. But for you to impale yourself on
Mm.
not one but two fence posts, or they were stuck together, and for you to, and then when they get in to do the surgery, there's practically nothing to fix. I mean, they're just a slight on the pancreas, and or the
That was an
spleen, the spleen.
intervention.
Yeah, and it was like, you know, I think that was definitely divine intervention, because he was, and it was so, she was just sitting there, and you said, okay, Granny, I promise, I told you. And so the thing was, when in before into surgery, after he had all those drugs and it relaxed him a little enough, he was like, okay, I heard you, Granny, I'm not gonna do it anymore. And I was just, I just really think that one was definitely
He had a
divine.
visit. Yeah,
Hmm.
he had a visit. I totally believe it. And it's so funny that you catch him sitting there saying that to her. And oh my God.
But
So
yeah,
how long was
he
he
t-
in the hospital for? I mean, I
oh
can't
oh
imagine.
he
Baby.
actually got out like within a week, because
What?
he
Because there
had
was
broken.
no.
Hmm. And he had a slight concussion, a couple of broken, dislocated bones, a couple of broken bones. But I mean, I think it was the collarbone,
Ooh.
and his wrist, and I think his ankle. or or maybe his knee. But anyway, I mean, it was not. It was like he had dislocated stuff and had to be put back. But those are a quick fix as
Yeah.
far as bone is concerned. He had to uh, do exercises and physical therapy and all that kind of stuff because of stretched tendons and yada yada yada. But he fell out of a tree onto a post, and he should have been in the hospital for heck of a lot longer. But
Yeah.
everything was more superficial, and I think he may have spent 10 days in the hospital. But I mean, it was nothing
It's
for
nothing.
what he
For what he went through. That is crazy.
yeah.
Oh my God. Wow. That is yeah. That so then when you see those things too, you have more confirmation to back you up with the things you've experienced yourself and otherwise. There's always a quality I find of a certain energy to them, like that situation where he was and it was what an honor that you were able to actually overhear this conversation take place too and understand, oh my goodness, he's having a visitor, telling him
Well,
off
I mean, and it was so cool because
lovingly.
he said that as he was falling, he heard her voice and he saw her face, and then you know, and then when he got relaxed enough and everything from the drugs, she stayed with him that whole time,
Oh,
and so. But he was relaxed enough, and he was having a conversation with her, and I got to witness it. I think
that's awesome. That's why it's like I always love to ask people that have worked in the medical field what their experiences are, because you never know what you're going to hear, and that's so cool. And you got so much to share, even though you might have done that. You got stories, you got things that people need to hear. They do, and it's been wonderful having you. I can't believe that it is 2 hours already have gone by because it was a pleasure. And, next time on the 18th, I think that's the 18th, right? I see, this is why I've got to write it down.
Yeah.
Yes,
We will
it's
be
the
on
18th.
my channel.
Yeah. And you can let me know
Awesome.
the time and all of that later.
Okay.
But so, folks, if you enjoyed our chat, I hope you did. And I hope you make sure that you're subscribed to both Kathleen and I. And like I said, even if you are, double check if you don't see any kind of,
Yeah.
things. All right. Both of you touch my heart. Oh, thank you, Tiva. You touch mine.
Oh, thank
And
you.
seriously, we can't do a live without you guys. I mean, for real. So thank each and
Yeah.
every one of you for joining us. And just check us out and our friends. And so I'll just close it out and say thank you so much. I've always got to do my little Reiki thing because I like doing that and just sending that out. And thank you, Yushani, Barbara Wheel, Tiva, Shield Maiden, and all of you, Sherry, all of you guys. So we'll see you next week. And let's see, next Thursday, we have Indigo Chrysalis Tarot. And then, I don't know, probably see if I can get some more people. And then I'll be coming on to Kathleen's. So, anyway, thank you guys. Thank you,
Thank
Kathleen.
you. Thank you.
Bye bye.